Welcome to Sacred Cow Shipyards, where no ship is safe from being taken down to its nuts and bolts. All right, my good soft fonts and soft fontesses and soft fonts of indeterminate genders. I don't know, whatever. This week is either going to be a really short episode or a really low effort episode, and it depends on how long I talk. Because I don't actually plan these out ahead of time. I just start talking, and then I realize I kind of ran over what I think to be my allotted time, which I assume is going to be 10 of your 10 minutes, because I don't think I can keep y'all's attention span that much longer than that. So, where was I going with this again? Right. Short episode or low effort episode. We'll see how it turns out. Anywho, I mentioned in the last episode that I have a thing against magic. There's basically no way to talk about magic because magic just happens. Occasionally, if the writers are particularly good and particularly caring about their particular universe, they set down rules for the magic, and the magic has to operate within certain bounds. D&D is actually really good about this. D&D has lots of rules because that's kind of the point of the game. But for science fiction type shows that employ what is basically magic, the rules are frequently vague and indeterminate, and basically they go along with whatever the writers wanted to do with the plot that day. So I am going to refrain from talking about vehicles and ships and stations and whatever else that rely on magic in this thing that I'm doing. But someone pointed out to me that I should probably clarify what that means in my particular head, because I'm totally an organic being. Yes, head. So here we go. This is going to be weird. It's going to be my list of arbitrary science fiction related TV series and or movies from most magic to most technical in your current, what year is it on your planet right now? Because y'all use a weird, right, orbits around the sun since some dude got born. I think it's 2021. Yeah, that year. In that year. We're going to use that year as a basis. So, here we go. First up, there's this absolute, well, honestly, it was actually a pretty good movie. Honestly, when you look at it as a movie instead of a science fiction thing, it was honestly a pretty good movie. But, the movie I'm talking about is called The Fountain. Happened back in 2006 by your accounting. Had Hugh Jackman and Rachel Weisz in it, and let's be honest here, Rachel Weisz was the reason to watch it. But anyways, it was kind of a complicated, convoluted, time-traveling thing where at some point in the far distant future, some guy was traveling through space and basically a snow globe consisting of himself and a tree towards a supernova. There's really no explanation of how the snow globe got created, how it's propelled, how he's still breathing, because the tree's mostly dead. It's all just fantastical make-believe, but it gets categorized under the heading of science fiction because it has a guy going through space in a snow globe. Because, there's totally science behind a guy going through space in a snow globe. Totally. Yeah, I think they missed a memo somewhere. Anyways, that's kind of my bottom rung of this is magic, not science, so not science fiction. Go away, please. And moving up from there, which will probably annoy people in multiple different directions, we get to the Doctor Who universe and the Tardis. Yeah, I'm never going to talk about the Tardis. The concept is marginally cool, and I do actually enjoy the TV series. But, yeah, that quote-unquote ship is fucking magic. And I guess the show kind of gets a pass from me because there is a quote-unquote sonic screwdriver, which is a lot more than a screwdriver and slightly less than a lightsaber, but that's a really broad band to live in. And the show mostly exists in what you think of as current time, so there's lots of adjacent or current technologies that you're seeing, so there's at least some call out to modern or recent or probably soon to be technologies, so the TARDIS is kind of in the background. But yeah, it's magic. Let's not fool ourselves right now. It's totally magic. But with a glimmer of maybe we're trying to pass this off as totally not science, but close enough. No, not close enough at all. And then we get to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The movie, the more recent movie. There's been a TV show and a radio show and a couple other things, but still the movie, basically. Because the movie kind of defined the heart of gold as far as I'm concerned. As well as the whole concept of the infinite improbability drive, which is what, of course, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy revolves around. Well, okay, fine. The concept is technically scientific. Yeah, that is a thing that wouldn't work if you had enough technology behind you. And the Vorlons, no, wait, hold on, sorry. The Vogons, wow, that's a weird overlap. Anyways, they actually have more, let's go with like honest to God, scientifically capable ships. Yeah, the movie is fun. I love the infinite improbability drive. I love its transitions. I love its detransitions. But there's still a lot of like, yeah, we're just making this up as we go. Which, honestly, is the book. So, honestly, how angry at it can I be? Different conversation. Anyways, moving on. And that brings us up to Pacific Rim. We've already had a big conversation about this. We already understand where I stand on this particular topic. Bipedal combat robots of this magnitude, of this size, blah, 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 so on and so forth, are powered by magic masquerading as technology. Let's be honest here. There's no reason for it. There's no way it could work. There's no way it would work effectively against kaiju, which are, yeah. Anyways, we're just going to skip right past this because we've already had this conversation. So, next up on the continuum from magic to science fiction is Star Wars. Yeah, like the entire concept of Star Wars. The entire thing from stem to stern. I mean, let's not get into how much the Force, quote unquote, is just straight up magic. All of their technology is basically fundamentally magic. And yes, I know I should have the conversation about how, quote unquote, any technology sufficiently advanced is indistinguishable from magic. And that is technically true, but I can't talk about magic. I mean, there's nothing to talk about. It either works inside of its rules, or it doesn't. Or it doesn't have rules, which is the worst option. But still, Star Wars is magic wrapped up in, like, pipes and fittings and details that make you think there's technology behind it just long enough to broadside you with a magical aspect. Which, of course, brings us to Star Trek, which is marginally technically better. Alright, I'm going to level with y'all. I belong to the Scotty School of Engineering. If I have a task in front of me, and I know it's going to take X amount of time, I'm going to tell my boss that it's going to take X times 2 amount of time. And then when I actually do finish it in X amount of time, I seem like I'm awesome. And if I don't finish it in X amount of time, and I actually finish it in less than X times 2 amount of time, then I still seem pretty cool. But still, I mean, this is literally a universe where one of the main characters is like, yes, we have tech. Yes, it works. I'm going to lie to you about how well it works because it's just easier that way. That ain't science fiction, boys and girls. Or, well, I guess technically it is science fiction, but Scotty was a f***ing magician. Let's be honest here. And just move on from there. And on up the scale, we actually make a somewhat sizable jump in my own personal opinion. But from Star Trek, we go to Babylon 5. And Babylon 5 is fun because it's the intersection of magic and technology. We've got the Humies still dorking around with Star Furies, and we've got the Minbari still dorking around with gravitic drives, and then we've got the Vogons, the Vorlons, doing I don't even know what with their organic ships and this, that, and the blather other. I mean, this is honestly why I didn't even mention Farscape in this entire scale. Because, yes, organic ships could be a thing. I mean, they are a thing. But still, you can grow them to do whatever the you want. So, yeah, again, magical nonsense bullshit, whatever, doesn't matter. But still, Babylon 5 made an attempt with their rotational station and their Star Furies and their rotational Terran battleships, and honestly the gravitic drive for the Minbari actually kind of works, and the younger species, it all kind of works out in some weird like technological progression scale. So, y'all are really going to hate me for this particular jump and the direction it's going, but yes, I would in fact argue that Firefly, and therefore Serenity, are more scientifically science fiction than Babylon 5. You can hate me later. It's fine. But still, when you understand that the Firefly universe exists in a very, very complicated solar system and there is no actual FTL going on at actually any point in the story, the tech actually kind of works. I mean, it's a hybridized air breather, spaceborne reaction system. It can do weird things, and I mean, all the ships have artificial gravity, which is always kind of a weird thing about, science fiction, but still, Firefly at least made a passing nod at the fact that exoatmospheric vehicles that can operate in both space and atmospheres have to be able to abide by certain rules. And those rules are massively exploitable. So, credit to that, I guess? I don't know. I just like Firefly. We'll get back there again. Maybe. Speaking of sacred cows, and moving right on past that sacred cow, we get to Battlestar Galactica, which, yes, they actually made a hard and fast attempt to make this look, passable. I mean, yes, there's FTL jumps that, who knows how FTL drives work? It's hard to say. I mean, once you achieve technology levels where you're literally moving faster than the speed of light, you are in the ballpark of f***ing magic. But still, aside from that particular detail, Battlestar Galactica actually tried to present this as a reasonable, believable concept in space. Which, sound-powered phones. Come on, give me a break! And that rounds us out to The Expanse, which, yes, is totally the hardest science fiction that you humies have been exposed to in basically ever. There's a reason I've kind of avoided talking about their ships, because, wow, someone did a whole lot of homework and did a whole lot of, actually thinking about how this kind of stuff would work. And I don't want to touch that right now because I'm still trying to make friends with y'all, I guess. And maybe sacrificing that particular sacred cow on an altar would not be such a good thing. Although, I guess sacrificing the X-Wing on the altar went well, so who knows. Anyways, Expanse, hard science fiction. Cool. They're at the extreme end of your all's current understanding of, science fiction. Whereas The Fountain is at the opposite end of y'all's understanding of, fantasy science fiction. So yes, I am arbitrarily and just capriciously deciding what I will talk about. It's my goddamn show. And wow, look at me running over my established timeline. Yeah, I don't know. Y'all had pretty pictures about movies and science fiction shows and whatnot else. But that's basically the path that I'm going to use going forward. So if you don't like it, again, airlock, positive pressure door, blah, 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 butts. Butts seem big these days. Why are butts big these days? Seriously, what's up with butts? I don't get it. And that's all from Sacred Cow Shipyards. Please be advised that any ship left on the dock for more than 24 hours will be compressed to a cube. Have a good day.